Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is Wednesday, June the 6th, 6-6-12. Yes, the mark of the beast. 6-6-12, June 6th, 2012, Wednesday into Thursday, June 7th, 2012. Thank you for being with us. And yes, we are back from the dead. We just, right in time there with the ensuing zombie apocalypse, right? Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Yes, indeed. Thanks for being with us here tonight. My website where this broadcast originates from is theglobalreality.com. That's theglobalreality.com. You'll find all things pertaining to my work up there. And it's been almost a week. I guess tomorrow's Thursday, so it would have been last Thursday. Well, I tell you what, the last week or so, it's just been hell for me and for us in my work. It's been real tough. And, it's not anybody's fault. There's not anybody to blame here. Shit happens, and sometimes shit happens at bad times, and it was just it was a shining example of one of those times, where you pull the fucking Jenga piece out, and even though it looked like it was, good to go, the whole goddamn thing collapses. It's kind of how it was for us for the past week. We first had our fundraising week last week and came pretty short for paying the bills, although I was finally able to get all that squared away early in the week. So that took a load off my back. I was kind of stressing about that at first. On top of already stressing about the fact of not having a budget for the film and anything to work with, because that should be iterated too, and so it was a combination of those things. I was just, I was feeling pretty fucking pretty pissed off and pretty just deflated. I felt lost. I felt like I didn't have, I felt like I had nothing, no purpose. I felt like I had nothing to do because I was just at a complete work standstill. And that's what happens, in, especially when we come up short for paying the bills, too. And then I got this message Friday night, I guess it was. Thursday night, Friday night. On Sam Broadcaster. Friday night, I guess. Saturday night, I can't remember. It all runs together. I was aware that this was coming. Because what happened was, how we had, it all stems from the fact that I was trying to fix the sound. That's really why the network was down for the past week. I remember when the sound was shitty there for a while and everything sounded like crap. Well, that was because of Sam Broadcaster. none of their versions of their program had been compatible with multiple core computer systems. They were all engineered and configured for single core systems. And in this day and age, almost everything is dual core or quad core. So, and, on up, from there. But I mean, at minimum, So some of the issues that we had in the past with the network, some of which I think was, obviously was people messing with us or messing with the stream some of the time. I don't think it was all of the time. Certainly some of the time, especially judged with the fact that we had, 20 or 30 Trojans on this network box that never even has a browser opened up on it ever or anything, anything at all. It has nothing opened up on this computer at all except this program that I had to have $300 to buy because when I installed a new version that would work with the dual core systems, it acted like and gave me the impression that it was installing it right on top of the previous version I had, which was pirated, but had a working serial number and everything that checked out. That's what I've been using for the past 3 years to broadcast, because when I left Oracle in July 2009, I went and did Blog Talk Radio for 3 or 4 months and got sick to death of the shit quality of it and the whole thing altogether. I hated the chat room it had. I hated everything about it. And it cost like $80 or $100 a month just to get that. And that was like their premium account. And the fucking premium account didn't work half the goddamn time. But I was still kind of believing, because people on other networks I'd been on stuff had told me for years, that, I can't, you can't start your own network. That's, you won't know how to do it. It's too difficult, blah, 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 blah. And I guess I believed that. And then when I got sick and tired of the Blog Talk thing, I got Sam Broadcaster off of BitTorrent and started playing with it. And after about a day or two of messing with it, I was like, you know what? I can fucking do this. Take a tip from that, folks. Sometimes, sometimes you're smarter than you think you are. Give yourself a little credit sometime. I started messing. I was like, why the fuck did I allow myself to be convinced that this was somehow difficult? So I got the program and we got a stream going, and a lot of people made promises to help us. Because, I said at that time when I started the network, I said, look, this is up in the ante for me. This is, this is a big thing. It's a big step. There's a lot of responsibility that I don't really have the means to take care of by myself. Will you support me out there in this? Will you help me make sure that we can handle this every month? And, we had 20, 30 people that said yes. And, only a very few of those have stuck around. And so we get in these situations where, something like that happens. And I guess it's just karma for using their software for free for the past 3 years. Thank you very much. But that came up and said, surprise. Because it had been telling me, that you get so many restarts before you have to pay for it. But dig this. I think it has some sort of built-in, what do they call it? Engineered obsolescence is I don't think it's the term it's applicable here, but I mean in that how you've heard of that engineered obsolescence, where they they'll build a part on a car, like an expensive car like a BMW or something, and they'll engineer a wheel axle or something that'll wear out after 50,000 miles, right? So you have to pay to have it to take it in, and you have to pay to have the new part, and it's engineered so they fucking sell more parts, It's engineered to do that. I think I have a suspicion, and again, I really don't have any way to prove this other than what I experienced. I mean, I guess maybe my experience isn't proof enough, but as I said, it said that I had so many trial period, basically, and I was like, well, that's weird. I had a working serial for the other version. All it said was it was going to upgrade my old version. And then, so it told me, oh, no, this is the trial version. You have to pay $300 to get the full version, which I didn't have. And, you got to pay $300 for that. And so it was crashing on me all the time. Like, it would sound good. Like, we did the shows for the past couple of weeks. It sounded really good. The archives came out really good. But oftentimes when I wasn't doing a show and stuff, it would crash a lot, or we'd just sit there and hang. And I'd have to restart the program, start all over again. And so every time that I was having to close it out and restart it, that was taking one off of my trial period. It said, you have 60 days to use this for free, or 53 restarts, whichever comes first. Well, it was crashing on me so much that I was having to restart the program, and every time I restart the program, it would take one off of my thing. And then I guess finally Friday night, I restarted it right before I was going to do a show or something, restarted it, and there it went, gave me the it just kept popping up. And then it was doing this thing. Let me see if it's still on here, because I want to play this for you. For those of you who didn't hear this, listen to this happy horse shit. Then they actually have some kind of a file that pops up. I've never seen this before, that pops up and plays automatically on your stream. Some of you out there may have actually heard this. I can't believe this. The audacity. Not only the audacity, come on, dude. $300 for your software, really? And I guess it's because you can't get anything that'll close to do what this will do. There's not even an option. It's an option. Yeah, there are options, but they're for shit. I use some of them before I use this, like Winamp, and so like people, you can broadcast with Winamp. Yeah, you can, but it's not good. It's not good at all. But listen to this happy horse shit.
Be sure to register your copy of Sam at www.spatialaudio.com. You'll feel warm and squishy inside once you do.
Can you believe the audacity of those people? And this you need to buy this. You'll feel warm and squishy when you do. No, I felt fucking robbed and fucked in the ass is what I felt like. I was like rubbing my behind, dude. $300. $300 for software. So I've been crippled for the past week because I haven't had $300 to give these extortionists for their software. And yes, I got emails from people, like I'm fucking half a fag or half a retard or something, don't know how to use BitTorrent. I mean, no offense, but really, I know how to use BitTorrent, thanks. You know what I mean? I know how to look on the internet and find free software. I've been doing it for years, long before there was BitTorrent or LimeWire or anything else, going back to the old news groups. Anybody out there remember news groups? The news groups, I used to get anything, you still can, on news groups. But that's how I used to all download my stuff, was old news group servers, on the old AT&T servers. So, yeah, I know how to, but again, none of them would work. And when I tried to revert back to the old version, it wouldn't let me. Reverting back to the old version wouldn't have done me any good anyway. We've been back to the shitty sound quality, and the skipping audio and the skipping sound, and not working half the time being able to broadcast anyway. So, I guess it was just a necessary evil and one of those things that finally popped up. But God damn it, man. It didn't. If it could have happened in the middle of the month or something, it would have been not as bad. You know what I mean? But it happened right at the first of the month, right when like all the bills are due. You know what I mean? And so we were already light on our fundraiser, and also light on the one for the film. And then here comes Sam Broadcaster wanting $300 and basically, holding my show at ransom from me, and my whole livelihood, not being able to be able to do a radio show and go on and tell you that we need help, I tell you how dire the situation is. I had to resort to telling people in the chat room and everything, and thanks to everybody who did chip in and help us be able to get this. And this is all I've been asking. It's all I've been telling people. And if we could do this more often, those of you out there who did help get the Sam Broadcaster thing going, we could get a lot more accomplished if you guys would do that more often. All of you who did donate for this emergency fund to get the $300 for this, you all should pat yourselves on the back, and then you should all shake hands, because that's a valiant effort. And that's a let me give you a little clap there. That's the kind of stuff I've been talking about. We had but I said, look, and I guess maybe I need to start breaking stuff down for people more like that, because it seemed to make more sense to people when I broke it down. I just went on and said, look, we need $300 to do this. If we get 12 people, or whatever it is, it was 12 people to donate $25. 12 people. Think about this. I told you the numbers last week. The last 30 days, we had 144,000 unique listeners to the stream in the United States alone, over 300,000 in 32 countries worldwide. See, I don't care about stats and numbers, and it doesn't make my nuts bigger or anything to be, oh, I got this million. But most people, it does. Most people, they'll tell you that they don't, but most of the radio hosts that I've encountered and worked with are obsessed. I mean, obsessed. Not just, oh, yeah, I'll go look and see what number. Obsessed. Number obsessed. With, it's like a pissing contest, you know? I mean, that's not a pissing contest I want to be involved in. Let's see who can have the most listeners, who can get the most people to listen to you, not give them any kind of information at all. Just, you know, giving them the same old regurgitated crap. So, yeah, I mean, that I want to thank everybody for, you know, coming together like that. I guess I need to break stuff down more in terms of saying, look, you know, 300,000 listeners for the last 30 days. But yeah, it took like 3 days to get 12 people to donate $25. There's something wrong with that equation. I mean, with the number of listeners that we have, there's no reason why we should ever. I mean, I should be able to be funded to the hilt over here. Oh my God, I'd have an office and all kinds of fucking tits-ass a studio and high-def cameras and all kinds of shit if every single listener that we had listen in the last 30 days all over the world donated $1 or donated 50 cents. So, you know, I as much as I hate to have to do it, I really am considering taking making the show, monetizing this motherfucker to the hilt. That's what I'm talking about doing, really. I don't have any choice, man. I've tried to do something different with this network, and that's what irks me the most about it, is that, you know, this was my project, and it's for me, it's kind of starting to be project failed as far as, you know, this attempt. It was an attempt for me to listen to the people who were fans of this kind of radio and stuff, and fans of my work, but not fans of the outlets, you know. So my idea was to, you know, do away with the commercials, do away with the decorum, and let's just get down to the real, you know. You want to drop some F-bombs, and you want to cuss and get mad and yell, whatever. You know, I try to do that as an open forum for myself and a way to be able to express myself in an honest manner so that I can get this research and this knowledge to you across in a way that you'll understand. And I really, you know, I really did. I really thought that was the way to go. You know, not having your website loaded down with advertisements and sponsors, and I'm having to worry about, you know, placating them and all this stuff. I really tried to do something different, you know, and as it's gone a lot of times in my life, every time, you know, a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times when you try to do something different, it just falls on deaf ears. People don't appreciate it. They don't care. And then what it takes is it takes the alternative happening before people appreciate it, and then they bitch and want it back to the old way, but by then it's too late. And that's what's going to happen here to my show and what I'm doing, and it's unfortunate. But, you know, again, if we didn't have anybody listening out there, if those numbers didn't come in the way they do for the stream listenership, man, I wouldn't even be saying any of this. I'd be okay with not getting support and donations if we only had 5 people listening to the show, but that's just not the case. My God, I get hundreds of emails a day from you listeners out there. But look at how many our Facebook likes have been going through the roof for the past month, man. And 150 or 200 in a short amount of time. The YouTube videos and views on those, on all of them out there, the ones I've made, the one other people have made of my stuff, they're all going through the roof. But this happens to me every time. There's an increase in listenership, and there's an increase in interest in what I'm doing, but never an increase in the support that we get to do our work. And I just, you know, it just really sucks that I'm going to have to go the route that everybody else has gone, and I'm going to have to monetize this motherfucker to the hilt and have big, intrusive, flashy, fucking, full fucking stadium cap banners that at the bottom of every page. Oh, it's coming like real soon, like in the next week, maybe even this week. Not even playing. Oh, it's coming. That's already here. I just got to fill out the paperwork, sign the stuff, and send it back to them for tax purposes, and I'm good to go. Got a company coming in that's going to do advertising stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe video game stuff or something like that. I don't know what it is. They got a hold of me. I didn't get a hold of them, but, I don't know. I think it didn't pay much, but we'll see. Maybe if a bunch of people click on it, maybe we can just at least get the people out there who don't want to help us to click on some fucking banners on our website, for God's sakes, I mean, please, you at least do that, right? So, yeah, it's been a real shitty past week or so for me, because when it rains, it pours, man. It was just like it all came crashing down at once, and like I said, just because I have this TV show, people interested in what I'm doing is not by no means mean that I'm out of the water or I'm in the clear. I mean, the work has got to continue, and I got to keep going and not even think about that. And, being knocked off of my schedule to get this film done it's hurt me, because I've worked my ass off, y'all. I got to be honest with you here. From the beginning of this year, I've worked my ass off, really, to stay on schedule to get this film out by a certain time. And if you don't know me, that is an accomplishment for me. You know what I mean? It really is. It's been an accomplishment for me to say I'm going to do something by this and such time and work my butt off to stick to that schedule, and that's what I've done. And, everybody else is not doing their part. And this ad, I really can't. I've just put it out of the back of my mind, and I've tried not to say too much about it. But this attitude of, yes, we want to hear what you have to say. Yes, we want to hear your show, and yes, we want to hear your information. But we don't want to have anything to do with the cost of what it takes to produce the radio show and the films and all this other stuff. That's up to you. That's your problem. You deal with that and just give us the free info. And, I just personally feel that I'm worth more than that. I don't feel, it took for a lot of years in my life, because of, stuff that traumatic things that happened to me in my childhood and things. It took me a lot of years to gain a little bit of self-esteem and gain a little bit of self-respect and self-worth. Because just for a lot of years, you just think, you're not worth shit, and it's what everybody tells you, and that's it. But inside that's not the truth, so you fight through that. And, to find that self-worth, and then after not having it, and be made to feel like, oh, you're not worth shit or whatever. But it really hurts. And that's the whole thing is, I lived up to what I said I was going to do. I've stayed on schedule with this film. I made the one road trip to go get footage and got everything accomplished I was going to get accomplished on that trip. It really does. And it hurts me too when people say they're going to do stuff and they don't. I've talked about that. But I've got to start putting somebody told me a long time ago, a musician, if you don't put a value on what you do, nobody else will. And I was having, because sometimes you want to, you give out free CDs and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, man, if you don't ever put a value on what you do, then nobody else is ever going to. And I'm at that stage now where I have a lot of knowledge, I have a lot of research, and I have a lot of experience being in front of a microphone, doing radio and making films. And I'm starting to slowly climb out of the bush leagues and starting to enter into the upper leagues of this. So I really got to start putting a value on what I do, my work, my time. I mean, all of that has a value to me, whether it has a value or not to you. It's still my time, and I put all of my time. There is no spare time for any other, this is the hobby. There's not a hobby outside of this. And now that I'm not playing in a band anymore, I mean, spending even more time doing this, which is, not helping my sanity or my health or anything anymore. But, I have, I have come a long way. And the information I have for this new film is staggering. And look, I put everything I had, spent every bit of money I had, all little bit of savings I had. Back in 2007, spent $10,000 making 9/11 New World Rising, put it out there, had an event. Went on a bunch of radio shows. Shortly after that, got my own radio show. Found out about the ZMP, started working towards making that. Spent like $20,000 making Secret Right 1. Everybody begged to put that out for free, so I did. Then we spent 20, 30, 1,000, whatever on Secret Right 2. And then the budget for this film was like $5,000. And when I needed to help the most, because this is the biggest thing I've ever done. And I needed help more on this than I needed on the Secret Right films or anything else. And, we've had a couple of people help us. Thank you to those people. Oh, Paul, you know who you are. Paul had sent me a message, and he was going to donate towards the film back before the Chipping banner expired. We have an emergency one up there now. You can go to theglobalreality.com and find that and dump something in there to help us in our emergency stretch to get a budget to get this new film done. But Paul had said he was going to make a donation. He was waiting on money to come in and stuff. And I had talked about the claimers, and because there's a lot of them. And I think maybe I had thought that Paul was, and I got confused with somebody else. And then Paul was like, no, I only sent you one message. I think you're confused with somebody else. I'm like, okay, sorry about that, Paul. But we have had a problem with that. A lot of claimers, and I've talked about that. People just, they come in and make boisterous claims. Oh, I'm donating this amount so such and such a day, and then people think we get support and donations when we don't. It happens all the time. I mean, to the point, like I said, to the point where it makes me think it's an operation. But Paul sent an e-check, and I won't be able to get the money till next week sometime. That's the only thing that sucks about when you send an e-check. You can just do it instantaneously, Paul. Or do they make you do an e-check, I guess? But anyway, that takes 4 or 5 days for it to go through, and there's a fee and all that. But Paul did donate $500, which I get towards the film, which I guess we'll get next week. So that knocks the Chipping banner thing there down a bit for us. So Paul wanted to say that wanted everybody to tell everybody that he is not a claimer. And as some people are, he wanted me to tell everybody that, and that he has made his donation towards the film. Paul, thank you very much. You will have your name in the film, my friend, as a contributor, absolutely, and appreciate it very much. Wanted somebody match him. Somebody should match. Somebody said they wanted to match a donation. Hey, there's one. Paul. Paul also said that the claimers can lick his nuts. He wanted me to throw that in there. Yeah, lick Paul's nuts, you claimers. Pass that on for you there, Paul. But yeah, we'll get that probably first of next week or sometime. But that's fantastic, my friend. Thank you so much for helping us out there. So now that knocks it down. So, if we get somebody else to match him, and that's what I was mentioning earlier is how you guys that came together, when I broke it down and said, okay, here's our target goal, here's what we're looking at. And I think I'm going to do that with the remaining film budget and put it out there, because it seemed to me that people responded a lot better to that, instead of, okay, we need, here's $2,000, we need $3,000 to finish this film, right? And everybody's sitting around holding their dicks or holding the JJs going, I ain't got $3,000, So instead of that, and then, it's up for 2 months on my website, and then 2 months later, it's over and we didn't get our budget. I think, from now on, from here on out, because of the way that you guys came together out there as a listening audience and helped to get us back up and running here and help us get a serial number for Sam Broadcaster. Again, thank you so much, everybody. I love you so much. There we go. Round of applause. And I think that's what I'm going to do here. I haven't done all the math yet, but you can do the math yourself. Look at that. 3,000 or whatever. We got 500 of that, so 2,500, let's say. I'll break it down and I'll talk more about it later. But my point is that it seemed that people responded better when I said, okay, look, if we get 12 people to donate $25 each, we can get this. And then, one person donate, 2 people donate 25, and then this guy over here donates 40. Or this guy over here donates 50 or whatever, And then, okay, well, now we need 7 more people to donate $20. Put that out, put it out on Facebook, put it in the chat room. And it seemed that the response to that and the help that we got from that, not to mention the fact that it absolutely was an emergency situation. It couldn't have come at a worse time is the biggest thing. Again, it had to come right when our budget was ending and our bills came up due. It was just a triple clusterfuck sandwich. And those are never tasty. Never. Triple clusterfuck sandwiches are just never tasty. That's an absolute fact. And that's what we got hit with over here at the Global Reality. But my point is that people, that when you present people with a smaller boulder for them to crush instead of presenting them with the mountain, and that's all I've ever asked. Maybe I hadn't made that clear, but I can't believe it took everybody this long. If we could just get that every month or with everybody all the time, it should be a regular thing. Think about it. It would be amazing. Think about how many listeners, how many of you there are out there. If everybody just donated a couple of bucks, $1, $2 a month regularly, all of you, not just a few of you, there would never be any problems. And I know you can do it. You have no excuses now. See, that's the problem now. See, now you fucked yourselves. Because now I know. Now I know you can do it. You're capable of it. And if we had more of that going on, like Paul donating his 500, his e-check 500. If somebody matched Paul and chipped in with that on Paul, or even broke it down smaller from there, we'd have our budget for our film in no time. So I'll start crunching the math on that stuff like that from now on, and I'll just start announcing it and putting out the bulletins broken down into increments. This many people donate this amount will get us this. This many people donating this amount will get us this. And I'll just start doing that and putting that out there, because to me it seems that people are more apt to want to throw in and help if they know that they only have a small boulder to chip away at, instead of having to chip away at the entire mountain all by themselves. So I thank you again to everybody out there who helped us get back up and running. And also thank you for showing me that, if everybody, if we could just get everybody to just chip in small amounts every month, it would be great. It'd be fine. But the problem is we right now we have just a few people donating large amounts. And when that's all we get, or we don't even get what we need for our budget, we can't get our work done. And I come to a work standstill, and believe me, it's not good. I don't even know what to do with myself, man. I started fucking watching movies and shit. I was like, okay, whatever, fuck it. I'm just going to watch movies, It's over here on my ass with my fucking dick in my hand. I was like, seriously, I've been going balls to the wall nonstop for a lot of years here, folks, and work comes to a standstill. I don't know what the fuck to do. because I'm usually constantly working on something that's pertaining to this, research or something else. And without a budget to go back out into the field and get more crucial footage, because some people went out and got other stuff for us, and some of the stuff that came out that I got from some people just didn't look too good, quality-wise. Not gonna be. I think it was the Spiral Mound guy. I think it was his stuff. I hadn't watched it all yet. I have to go back and double-check it, and it's all up on YouTube, but it just didn't look that great. It didn't look like I could really even polish the turd, so to speak, but... So the good news is we are back up and running here. We do have our working serial number for Sam Broadcaster, 64-bit version. Thank you very much. And we have our serial number where we won't have to worry about that again. It's it's good for forever. So, but that leaves us with $23 after paying the $300 for that. So again, theglobalreality.com. Please, we need your help right now. It's crucial. We had this fall on us at a terrible time with the bills coming up due. We got the bills handled. The priority right now is getting a few dollars, couple of dollars each in here right now, just because we only have 23, which is never good, and finishing out and completing our budget so I can finish doing the shooting. I don't have near the footage that I need to even get close to finishing this thing yet. And I'm going to have to at least make a couple of trips out into the field before I can get what I need to complete just volume 1. We're not even talking about getting to the dig aspect and all that, but that's the point. None of that stuff is going to happen if I don't get a budget in here to get volume 1 done. Because as you saw with the little 4-minute teaser, the 4-minute teaser is going to be the 2 or 3 hour teaser. When it's done, it's going to be the thing that's going to say, okay, here it is. This is the case. This is why we're interested. This is why it's important. This is why we need to get cash going behind getting some digs done and going on. And, hopefully get some people that are in a position to help out, whether that be a TV production company like who I'm talking to right now, or whether that be individuals or something. And I'm even looking at maybe doing multiple digs as well. If everything works out right. If everything works out right with the TV show, most definitely I'm going to be looking at doing two separate digs, maybe even 3. The reason being, multiple amount of reasons, but reason being is, one, I'd like there to be one that's the TV thing and the TV thing alone exclusively, and then have another one that is, a private, not for TV one that's more for the film. And then another one where we could maybe even do one where, some of you out there could come and be involved in it. Some of you VIP Global Reality members, you know who you are out there. Not a very long list of you, but you know who you are, the ones that have donated a lot and everything. That's what I like to do. And I was looking at some property and stuff in Rockwall. There's prime property, Rockwall wall area, for an acre or two for like $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. I mean, there's not a lot of money. Really surprised because the property value has skyrocketed out there some years, but I guess maybe because of the recession or whatever, I don't really know. There are some lots out there pretty damn cheap. But yeah, I'd like to. Well, and the other reason I'd like to have multiple digs is because to me, you're going to have to. I mean, we have not had a sufficient amount of digs on various locations of this wall yet up to this point. And I think the only way you're ever going to get hard, conclusive evidence is to have multiple digs over multiple sections to compile data from each one of these individual sites to see what similarities you come up with, what differences you come up with, what different artifacts and other things might be found. And since we don't have that data, I mean, that's the whole thing. That's why this wall warrants as much investigation as we can give it, is because there's been so little. You can't even make a real approximation about what it is and who built it or anything else, because we haven't had enough sites to be able to gather this evidence. So it'd be feasibly, you don't have one excavation on one end, one corner, one far corner, like the western wall, and maybe one over the eastern corner. I mean, that would be ideal, and then you would be able to have several different examples combined with the other examples of past digs that have been done, and you could bring all that data together and see what fits and what doesn't. Because some of the pictures, if you watch like the John Lindsay dig and you look at some of those pictures, which a lot of that stuff from the John Lindsay dig is in my little preview thing there, all that'll be in the film too. And then you go look at the old pictures from the dig they did, black and white days, 40s, 50s, whenever, and you see the black and white pictures of those stones. Some of those, some of them look similar and some of them look different. Some of them look like these big, huge, different types of stones. So that's my thing, is I think that we need to determine if we're talking about different types of phenomena, and I think in some cases we are here. But it's fascinating stuff, and if you have the ability to pass on my video, pass on that little trailer to people you might think, have the financial ability to back a project like this, please pass that on. Do me that favor and pass that on to them. I'm asking people to do that right now. And again, to also support us at theglobalreality.com. There's all kinds of ways to do it up there, from the Chiven banner to the donate button to the P.O. box address where you can send a check or money order if you absolutely can't use PayPal. They have a subscription you can make every month that comes out of your PayPal account automatically. And we also have an Amazon wish list there that has items that we need. New cameras, studio gear, stuff to do the films. That's stuff that I'm going to have budget for too. And I haven't added that stuff to, the chip-ins, but that's stuff that's, that we need. And I'm going to have to start putting a worth on what I do. What I do does have value. It has value because of the hours and the time that I spend doing it, only to bring it up here and give it all away for free and then have to stress and worry how I'm going to keep going and then I wonder if I even should, because keep going for what? Keep going just to give it all away for free and be back in this situation again in a month and have the same freeloaders out there not helping us out and supporting us? So, see, something's got to change. And, unfortunately, it's probably going to have to go that same old route of selling advertising and selling gold and snake oil and having pop-up ads and everything. I tried to do this in a different way, and the people seem to have responded in the same way they always do. That's on you. That's not on me. Let's see here. So obviously you all have heard all these crazy stories, and we're going to get into some of them here tonight that have come out over the past couple of weeks pertaining to people just zombies, people doing weird zombie-like activity. People eating flesh and people cutting fools' hearts out while they're still alive and eating them and all this stuff. And when the stories first started coming out, they were saying that the one in Florida, the guy that did the thing on the bridge, they were saying that was some super new, high potent, powerful LSD, and then they changed around a couple days later and said, no, it was bath salts. And so there's been several of these now where people are, I guess, smoking bath salts. What the fuck, man? I done some fucked up shit in my time to get high. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some fucking perfect non-drug taking. Oh, man, I don't need more. I don't need any of that stuff. But when I was younger, fuck yeah, dude. I got fucked up all the time. Fucking pills and ludes and fucking drinking Robitussin and huffing fucking air duster and fucking taking ecstasy like it's fucking Skittles and, fuck yeah, dude. I did all that shit. But I never did it without gaining something from it. All the times I did it, I gained something. It wasn't just about partying or getting fucked up. But you have these people that are like the modern day, Timothy Leary. And Timothy Leary was working for the CIA. He was, admittedly, he said, what do you do when the CIA comes and knocks on your door and says, we need you to work for us, And so he was the one that was responsible for the prohibition on psychedelic drugs. And I saw, I've seen people saying, oh, that's with all this stuff with these people. This is just a conspiracy to crack down on hallucinogens. No, it's not. You're wrong. It's not a conspiracy to crack down on hallucinogens. They own the hallucinogens. They created them. The only reason we have them is because they tried to use them against us, and they shot John Lennon for telling you that. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, that's the real reason why they shot him. You should go look up the article from Playboy magazine, the interview that John Lennon did. It was the last interview he did. They shot him, I think, a week or 10 days or 2 weeks, something like that. Very short period of time after that. Last interview he ever did. And he says in this interview in Playboy magazine, people should go and find out how the Army created LSD to use it against the hippie generation, use it against the young generation for mind control. And ha, 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 they thought they were going to control us and control our minds, and it backfired on them, and instead, they set us free. And he couldn't be more right. That's exactly the case. They indeed did create it. Sandoz Laboratories, they created LSD for a mind control MK Ultra effect and tried to unleash it on the younger generation, the anti-war generation, and yes, indeed, it did break loose and set people free. So what did they have to do? They had to contain it after that. So they put Timothy Leary out there and tune in and drop out. And, everybody hated him. The next thing you know, here comes the prohibition against it. Now you have these modern day people like Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan's absolutely full of shit. The guy, my God, that guy just reeks of mafia, Knights of Malta, just Italian, Hollywood, you can just smell it. Ugh. But everybody thinks he's cool and hip and he's a new ager because he's got a float tank in his house. But, he willfully tells people to go out and do these drugs without giving them any kind of a warning about, or even consideration of whether or not your psyche is safe to do these drugs, and you always should take that into consideration even with this type of information. You know how some people they're kind of kind of not all there anyway, and you give them a beer or a hit of pot or something, and they just fucking lose their mind, naked stripping in the street from one hit of pot or something. Like, Jesus Christ. And that's what happens with people that are kind of loopy, kind of all there to begin with, and it's just fuel to the fire, man, fuel to the fire. You give them a drink, you give them a drug, fuck. They're gone even more than they already were. And same thing, I've seen the same thing happen to people with this kind of information. People that are kind of fucking crazy, already kind of a little nuts, especially women. Whew. And guys too, though. But everybody. But and you start throwing heavy information like this on top of them, dude, and it's too much for them. It's sensory overload. They can't process it. They can't handle it, and they just fucking, freak out because they already had this mental deficiency already, or this psychosis or whatever it may be, and then you just again fuel to the fire by giving them this heavy information. And I see this same thing going on now. They're trying to, Joe Rogan and people like that, and by the way, he's involved in all the Ultimate Fighting stuff, UFC, all that stuff. And he's, go willy-nilly out there talking on his internet radio show about doing all these drugs and everything. And then, by the way, him and Alex Jones are really good friends. I should tell you everything you need to know about that guy. But then he'll try to act like he doesn't believe what Alex Jones talks about and all this stuff. He's a real cocksucker, that Rogan. I've asked him to come on the show many times. He won't even respond back. He's such a cocksucker. But I think he's absolutely working for the powers that be. What they're trying to do right now is this. It kind of was a carryover back from the 90s and stuff with the rave culture. And now it's turned into this electronic dance music culture. And the new age culture, the new age culture, 21st century new age culture has now sort of melded and meshed with the electronic music, dance music thing. And everybody's into psychedelics and everybody, is into Alex Gray art. They have those things where Alex Gray and Pinchbeck and all those guys, these new age gathering things, and everybody's got glow sticks and they're on acid and they have MDMA tablets and they have their Vicks Vapor Rub inhalers, and they think it's revolution, they think it's mind expanding, and it is for somebody who's never experienced anything before. But you're still doing it sort of in this bubble and still by prodding, somebody prodding you to. It's still a social thing that you're doing because you've seen somebody else do it and it reacts with who you are. It's not like you're doing this and starting your own thing. So 100% the phony new age stuff, and look, I believe in a lot of the new age philosophies and stuff like that are good, but there absolutely is a phony underground new age movement that is ran at the top by the same people that run all the other religions. It's run by the same priest class. And what it's designed to do in this age of awakening and enlightening that we're going through is to, again, the same thing they did back in the 60s, steer people back towards avenues they want them to go. And so instead of getting a real awakening, you get, a perceived awakening that happens at some electronic dance music festival with tons of pharmaceuticals and, emo chicks with pink spiky hair that look like anime characters and all that stuff. And that's sort of become, and a lot of the music has, they'll slide in things in there about 2012, and it's a whole culture that is based around harnessing the awakening of humanity that is going on right now. And harnessing and steering that back towards something they can control. And I think that, indeed, what they're doing now is very much in line with that. Because look, the bright side is people, you can go out, people can have these experiences on their own without having to do it in these settings, in an electronic dance music rave or whatever it is, and have benefit from it. And I think they know that. They absolutely know that. They know that LSD, and that was a big thing that John Lennon would have probably talked about, how he had the information in his time, but we hadn't gotten there yet before he was killed. But it's a fact. LSD makes your 12-strand DNA activate. They know that for a fact, and they have known that since the very early days of LSD. It actually makes your 12-strand DNA, it makes your DNA change and activate and open up in ways that it can't otherwise. And so, if there is anything to this story of some new high-powered LSD going around out there, that would lead me to believe that there probably is some sort of underground awakening movement out there that is probably producing this stuff and putting it out in the counterculture in hopes that it will cause epiphanies and awakenings in some of the people out there, and the powers that be have found out about it. And so here we have this, alleged zombie apocalypse thing going on and people smoking bath salts. And I'll tell you what, we can sit here and talk all night about what we think the cause of it is. And I've been listening to some radio shows and stuff and seeing what people have been saying about it. And I haven't heard one single person yet say what I'm about to say. And I can tell you right now, you can go back and listen to a radio show that I did at the beginning of 2011. I want to say that it was somewhere around, it was in January, so January 7th. So probably either any radio shows on January 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, somewhere in there. Anywhere from the 7th on. I don't really know which one. It was a Friday. I may not have been live then. January 2000, I was probably not live on Friday night then because I was still doing shows. So probably the 10th or the 11th or something like that of January 2011. I read this story on my show. A lot of you out there may remember. Government recommends lowering fluoride levels in U.S. drinking water. And I went on my show and talked about Alex Jones going on his show and proclaiming this to be a victory for the info war. We are victorious in the info war, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, getting involved against the New World Order has caused them to start taking out the fluoride. We have won. And I'm like, bullshit, you've won, motherfucker. And I waited and listened to Alex Jones show for the next few days and waited to hear if he was going to offer up the info. He never did. And I said immediately, red flag, red flag, red flag. And I'm hollering red flag again right now. I told you in January 2011, when this article came out, government recommends lowering fluoride levels in U.S. drinking water, that it was not a victory. And that what it was a very scary proposition, because who in the hell knows what the long-term repercussions are going to be for yanking that many people off of a drug simultaneously. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you right now, I think all this zombie stuff, all this craziness that's going on right now is a direct result of people having this mass amount of fluoride ripped out of their system very quickly, and we're seeing it come home to roost now about a year and a half later, year and 5 months later. We have no precedent for this, folks, none. But we know that when you rip, what happens, folks, when somebody's on their meds and you rip them off of it? Do you know how powerful fluoride is? There is a reason why it was used in the camps. And it does keep you docile. And what do you think is going to happen when you, like I said before, when you already have people that are already a little fucking crazy as it is, a little on the edge, you know? Maybe they might want to snap at any given time. And then what happens? You start reducing their fucking fluoride, not in a small way, in a big way. Government proposed that the recommended amount of fluoride in drinking water be set at 0.7 milligrams per liter of water. The recommended range has been 0.7 to 1.2 milligrams. So they took it down to from 1.2 milligrams. Down below that to 0.7 milligrams. That's quite a decrease, folks. And I'm here to tell you with some of these stories that I've seen, I'm starting to think that 100% that's the reason. And I guarantee you, everybody out there, well, now as soon as I do this show and put it out there, everybody will say they came up with it first, and I'm full of shit, and I didn't figure that out first. But yes, it absolutely is, because they want to get everybody enraged right now. Now, they've been trying with the Trayvon thing, and I think the Trayvon thing ties into this. And look, and not trying to be racist at all, but the point of the matter is, most of these stories that involve all this flesh eating, all this crazy stuff going on, unfortunately, it's happening with Black Americans. And, you know, I don't have to tell you that's a direct result of the fact that they're also the most targeted. I mean, who do you think they're going to go after first? Because that's the linchpin, and that's why they put in the psychological Operation Black President with his psychological Operation Muslim name. Make the black folks go crazy, so the white folks think the blacks are rising up, and then we'll get ourselves a nice little race war going on. And that's what they're going for here. And folks, I think this news, and majority of this news I have to tell you about tonight, is a result of that. I think that's what this is. I think they have yanked millions of Americans and millions of people off of their drug that we've been accustomed to our whole lives, because, fluoride's good for us. It makes your teeth strong. And with any drug, cold turkey is never a good idea. Some people can handle the cold turkey thing, others can't, because one of the worst things you can do to your body, and this is why people, oftentimes people who smoke and quit cold turkey get cancer. And the reason that is, they've done scientific studies to determine this, the reason that it is because you are, the reason why there's a higher increase of people who get cancer after quitting smoking cold turkey. Now, quitting over a slow period of time and weaning yourself off the nicotine slowly, that's what you're supposed to do. But when you quit cold turkey, it's one of the most harmful things you can do for your body because you are just ripping out something that your body has become used to getting, and you can't do that to your body with any substance. It will react. You have to slowly wean yourself off of it. Smaller increments until your body gets used, and then you can be clear of it. That's with any substance. It doesn't, it doesn't matter what it is. But quitting anything cold turkey has violent effects on the body, both mental and physical. And I think that that's possibly what we're seeing here, folks, as a result of this withdrawal symptoms of 500 million plus Americans having their dose reduced. The zombie apocalypse isn't coming, says the CDC. Well, you know what that says, don't you? Fucking lock and load, boys. I want everybody, this is your homework assignment for the week. I want everybody, if you don't already have one, to go down to the Home Depot this weekend. They're not very expensive. You can collect cans to buy yourself one. Go down to the Home Depot this weekend. Everybody's got a Home Depot, buy them somewhere, and go get yourself a nice axe. And then take that somewhere and have somebody sharpen it all nice for you and take that motherfucker home. Because, yeah. What do I always say? Whatever these guys tell you, whatever the government tells you, always generally the opposite of that is the truth. Well, same case here. My God. I didn't want to believe this zombie apocalypse stuff was true, but when they said, oh, don't worry, it's not coming, that's when I said, fuck, lock and load, sharpen them up, come on, let's go, fuck. Anybody got any grenades? Shit. We're about to have fucking zombies, y'all. Great. Like, I ain't got enough problems. I got movies to make, shit, I don't have time to fucking fight zombies. Please. Of course, everybody wants to fight zombies, because that's all they do anyways, play video games to fight zombies. That's all I do anyway. It won't be no different for me. That's all I do all day is kill zombies. All I see and talk to all day is zombies for the most part. Jesus. So it's good to know that the CDC says that after a spate of bizarre acts of cannibalism in the last week, had many people wondering whether to be afraid for their own flesh. The populist collective curiosity has even driven zombie apocalypse up to the number 2 spot on Google's list of trending search terms. But don't worry. According to government scientists, the zombies are not coming for you. The flesh-eating living dead don't actually exist, said a spokesman for the Centers for Disease Control. But why did they do analysis on what the likelihood of one happening a couple of years ago? Let's see what other crazy fucking cases of wildness are happening as a result of this fluoride reduction. I have a few here. Police say man high on bath salts threatened to eat police officer. If imitation is the highest form of flattery, then Rudy Eugene, the Miami cannibal who chewed off a homeless man's face while reportedly high on bath salts, has an admirer in his own neighborhood. Brandon DeLeon, 21, was arrested Saturday after getting into a fight at a local Boston market and resisting arrest. But his threats of wanting to eat a Miami police officer, well, he must be a fan of bacon, followed by his attempt to bite the officer, have raised more concern following the recent act of cannibalism in the Miami area that has made international headlines. CBS News reports that North Miami Beach police spotted DeLeon arguing with Brian Yerden, 33, outside of Boston Market on Saturday. The verbal fight reportedly blocked the entrance so no customers could enter or exit. According to police, WTVJ-TV reports that when police tried to break up the fight, De Leon gave them the middle finger, saying, "Fuck you." In the process, according to police, De Leon and Yurden were arrested at the crime scene, though De Leon was reportedly physically resisting arrest. When he was finally detained by police, De Leon would repeatedly bang his head against the plexiglass in a police car, yelling, "I'm going to eat you," at a police officer, according to police reports. Media reports indicate that De Leon's actions reached a level that police deemed it necessary to place the 21-year-old in a bite mask and leg restraints. Yeah, bring the fucking Hannibal Lecter outfit for him, dude. Brandon growled and opened and closed his jaw, slamming his teeth like an animal would. It's interesting because these bath salts or whatever, they're talking about, or this high-powered LSD, as they call it, or whatever. It's interesting that people they're acting, what are they doing? What has been the common theme with all this? They're acting like animals, aren't they? Eating the heart out and raw and blood. There's a movie, it came out in the early 80s. It's called Altered States. You guys ever seen that movie? I think it's got, William Hurt's in it. It's a pretty cool movie. It's one of my favorites. Essentially, the short of it is they're doing these experiments with various psychotropic substances. And there's one scene in there where they're dosing this chick with DMT, and she's like, "It feels like God is reaching down and touching my soul." And he's like, "Yeah, they're giving her DMT. She'll trip out for like 15 minutes, and then she'll be good to go." Well, in this movie, William Hurt is doing experiments in a deprivation tank, sensory deprivation tank, a float tank, while on some sort of mushroom hallucinogen craziness. And while in this chamber, his brain starts to revert back to some primordial state. He's going so far back into his mind and even into the memory of his own genetic memory, his own memory of his DNA, that his physical body actually physically regresses in real life, not just in hallucination, but his entire physical body actually reverts back to some like ancient primitive, like beast crazy thing, and he like leaps out of the tank and he's running down the street and he goes to the zoo and he's like eating gazelle raw and shit. And they find him and he's got blood all over him and they're like, "There's a wild beast loose." And so when I was reading all these stories about these, zombie reports, and they didn't sound like zombies, though. That's why it felt like this was a misnomer, because people were saying, "Oh, it's a zombie attack, zombie attack." I was like, well, these guys don't have, it's not like they have zombie tendencies. This is just straight, eating the heart, eating the brains, and it coming as a result of using these substances. To me, sounds eerily similar to this film, Altered States, where William Hurt reverts back to some primordial, ancient, primitive monster thing as a result of these substances actually affecting his DNA. I mean, because, what is it? You can you can turn one little thing on or off in somebody's DNA and they're a fucking tadpole. You know what I mean? It's like a switch. That's what the Anunnaki had. We're starting to figure out how that's how DNA is. It's a programmable thing. I mean, hell, they can store data on DNA now. Hard drives that are made out of DNA to store data on. And I think that's what these things are doing. I think it's switching something in people's DNA, and I think this is all being done by design. It's being launched as a test, I think, to maybe see what would happen if they launched it on a larger level. Because, whatever this shit is that's making people do this, you can imagine the possibilities that you would have and the applications you would have if you started introducing this substance in, say, the water supply, the food supply, or, say, through aerosol chemtrail spraying activities. So, I mean, I think that I think it's a combination of these things. Honestly, I think that it is a very real possibility that this could be causing people to revert back to some. I mean, just listen to this crazy shit, y'all. This woman looks pissed. Y'all got to see this woman's face right here. I got to get... God damn, son. I'd hate to tackle her in a dark alley. She looks like she'd bite your pecker off. God damn. Look at that. Look at that picture I just dropped in there. Jesus Christ. Wig theft suspect bit owner, say cops and police. Oh, she stole a wig. She looks pissed. A woman accused of stealing a wig from a beauty shop in New Haven is also accused of biting the store owner as well as the police officers who arrested her. Police said Lampel Davis, 38, of New Haven, stole a wig from the Sassy Beauty Supply shop. The shop owner told the police that Davis, she saw Davis come into his store with a juvenile girl and then noticed that a wig was missing from a mannequin. He went through surveillance systems and saw Davis take a wig and hide it as well as several other items in her bag. And then she started biting this guy. Police say she punched both men in the face, bit the store owner's bicep, taking a chunk of flesh from his arm and then spitting it in his face. When police responded around 3:30 p.m., Davis was crazed in front of Guillermo Federal Building at 150 Court Street, struggled with 4 Federal Protective Service officers, and kicked and swore at New Haven police. When officers handcuffed her, she tried to kick out the window of a police car and was eventually transferred to a windowless prisoner. I mean, think about it, folks. It's a perfect recipe. You start reducing the amount of fluoride in the water, and then what do you do simultaneously with that? Then you simultaneously start cranking up HARP, cranking up the ionospheric heating systems. That combined with what the sun is doing starts to make an unbearable heat, and then they start telling us, oh, that's global warming. But yet what it is, it's getting hotter and warmer, and we're not having winter because they're increasing the amount of this electromagnetic frequencies so that we'll all go crazy and destroy each other, so we never go after them and destroy them. I mean, you aren't going to convince me of anything else. I'm convinced. You can take zombie apocalypse or anything else. I think this is a direct result of them reducing the fluoride in the water and increasing the electromagnetic brain entrainment. Absolutely 100%. I will not be convinced of anything else. That's what this is. Montreal police probe Wednesday a horrifying new twist in the gruesome Canadian psycho murder case after new body parts turned up in the mail at 2 Vancouver schools, with the suspect awaits extradition from Germany. Authorities were still trying to determine if the human hand and foot discovered in 2 separate packages on Tuesday were indeed those of the killer's victim, 33-year-old Chinese student Lin Jun. You notice how twice now? That's twice, not once or twice. I didn't point it out last time, although I'm sure you noticed it a couple stories ago. Did point it out. But here we have 2 separate stories about this stuff with 2 separate victims, both 33 years old. 33. Well, oh, that's just a coincidence, Josh. You're just an idiot conspiracy theorist for pointing that out. I'm sure there's no correlation to the fact that people are committing acts of cannibalism and chopping up body parts and all this stuff and eating them, being cannibals, and just coincidentally 2 of the victims happen to be 33 years old. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. So yeah, this gay Canadian porn star is making videos of himself with New Order music playing in the background, and he's sending body parts to schools of his dead gay lover. Jesus. And this is something I was pondering the past week or so when I hadn't been able to do a show, and just, feeling sort of the lack of want or care, for people to support my work. Oh, they want my information, but they don't want to have to supply any money for any of this stuff to happen. And that's going to change, man. I'm not going to be putting out YouTube videos for free anymore. Movies are not going to be coming for him. I'll be pulling all my movies off YouTube. I was sitting there pondering, do I even really like the people that I'm doing this for anymore? It's like, do I even care? I mean, I get to the point sometimes where I'm like, you know what? People are fucking shit. I should give a fuck if they want to wipe everybody out. Good riddance. Show me where to push the fucking button. Let's see what other craziness there is here. Woman charged with malicious castration. And this is a black woman as well. Again, I'm not trying to be racist or say this is just black people doing this by any means. It's crazy people all colors out there. I'm just saying that people should be paying attention that they are targeting the black community. I mean, just because you guys, think that it's your world now and things are good because you got old Mr. Black President there, you got another thing coming. Guys about as black as I am, number one, but number two, they're coming and gunning for y'all even harder than they have before. This is how they've got you trapped. They get you thinking that, it's good and black people are coming up because we got a black president. No, man, they're putting y'all in the crosshairs even more than they already have. And there's no question that this stuff, I mean, my God, why do you think they serve and sell certain types of malt liquor in ghetto areas that they don't sell in other parts of town? It's a fact. And there's a reason for that. A woman from North Carolina has been accused of castrating her former boyfriend after she allegedly squeezed one of his testicles out of his scrotum. My God. Got to give her the chair for that. That's just, no man should have to experience that. The unnamed 59-year-old victim from Shelby, North Carolina, told police that he was attacked early Saturday morning by the 35-year-old Joyce Maxine Gregory, who grabbed him by his scrotum in a vice-like grip. By the time the man was able to jerk away from her grip and free himself, Gregory had succeeded in injuring him, according to the police report. The victim said that he was lying on the couch at around midnight when all of a sudden Gregory started throwing things around in the bedroom and turning his apartment on Bowman Street upside down. The 59-year-old got up, went to the porch and duplex where he lives to call the police, and that is when his 35-year-old former paramour pounced on him and yanked his genitals. When the man tried to walk out of the house to get help, he said Gregory knocked him to the ground, injuring his face. Following the attack, the 59-year-old victim was able to walk to a nearby EMS station, where he was initially treated before being transported to the Cleveland Regional Medical Center. Officer M.L. McPherson wrote in the wince-inducing report that the victim's scrotum had been split open, adding that I was also able to observe one of the subject's testicles protruding from the scrotum area. A urologist told police that the man's injury could be fixed with several stitches and that no serious long-term damage had occurred. Well, that's good. He got to keep both his boys. In a ballsy move, no pun intended, Gregory told officers that her ex-boyfriend had a knife and that she was the victim of the attack. Yeah, well, it didn't take long to see that was a lie. You walk in, the guy's fucking sack split open and his balls hanging out. It's pretty clear who the victim is here. You know what I mean? Seems to be some more crazy magnetic activity going on in China again. Remember a couple of years ago during the Olympics, and there was that rainbow cloud over China that looked like it was probably some electromagnetic heart waves or something. Well, it has happened again. Rare floating rainbow brightens sunset skies over southern China. And this one is even more pronounced. Give me just a second. I'll drop it in the chat room for you. Yeah, this one is, I don't know, man. It looks like it's a little bit more extreme than your than your average Kimbo. Yeah. Yes, you are correct. They're coming next month, so I find the timing of that quite interesting. A glowing cloud blossomed into a rainbow over southern China on June 5th, appearing at dusk over Wanning City in southern China in Henan province. The glowing rainbow was spotted first by a child on a fishing boat and captured by a local photographer. The rare effect is created by light refracting off ice crystals and clouds rather than water particles close to the Earth, creating a flying rainbow. Yeah, again, water vapor, water crystals, nothing to see here. Keep moving. A 15-year-old boy, again, you guys are still following me, right? We're still talking fluoride, electromagnetic brain entrainment. Okay? Just to be clear, we haven't gone off of that tangent yet. Still showing you stories here that are backing up what I'm saying. A 15-year-old boy pleaded guilty to shooting his older sister 3 times in the head as she slept. She was a beauty queen, too. It's unbelievable. Colton Harvey was charged as an adult for killing his then 16-year-old sibling Candace Harvey on January 15th this year at their rural home. Harvey offered the guilty plea in exchange for being charged with second-degree murder and was handed down a 45-year prison term in Arkansas. The teenage boy has given no motive as to why he murdered his sister. According to 5 News, the parents told investigators the two never fought. Prosecutor David Gibbons said no signs that would alert somebody that this would happen. No quarrels, no fussing, no fighting. The boy cried as he addressed the judge, at one point raising his cuffed hands to his face so he could dab his eyes with a tissue. And you stated that you murdered your sister. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Why'd you do it? I don't know. Again, reduction in fluoride, maybe? I mean, again, it's not going to affect every single person. You can line 10 people up and give them all a shot of alcohol, and maybe 1 or 2 out of those people are just not going to be able to handle it. They're going to lose your shit. Same thing here. Same sort of numbers here. Reducing the fluoride and increasing the electromagnetic waves, they're not going to affect everybody. They might not affect you. They may not affect me, but an increase of that is going to increase this kind of crazy activity, and it seems that we're seeing more and more of it here. Well, we're going to take a break, come back, and finish up with more of our news here tonight. We've got a lot more to get into. Oh, wow. Already been broadcasting an hour and 22 minutes tonight. Jeez. You can tell I hadn't been I hadn't been in front of the mic in a while. I hadn't even needed to take a break yet, Well, I'm going to take a break, come back, finish up with our news. I don't know if we'll get into doing reading tonight. We may not. We're just going to play it by ear and see what happens. When we come back from the break, theglobalreality.com is my website. That's theglobalreality.com. We'll take a break, come back, and get into more. Stay with us. Excuse me. Thanks for being with us tonight. I should just left it pause there, but I knew it. Trying to catch my breath. I hate that sometimes. I took a drink right before I was coming back from the commercial and it went down the wrong pipe, Hate when it happens. It's like something like a bad case of the hiccups, Take a drink, goes down the wrong tube. Hate when that happens. It takes you a minute to get your breath back when you take a drink and it goes down the wrong pipe. Ugh. All right, thanks so much for being with us here tonight for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. It is the Wednesday into Thursday edition of the show. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. And after paying all the bills and paying to get $300 to get the stream back up, I have $20 to my name. So we need some people out there to step up and help out the other people who helped us get this up and running again. It's a public service. I'm certainly getting nothing extra from doing this. Right now, I'm not even getting what I need to even do the work. And again, the numbers reflect that there are, 300,000 of you or so in 32 countries in the last 30 days. I mean, my goodness. Every one of you donates a penny. Imagine what that is. TheGlobalReality.com. Please use the chip and banners there and to support our work, support other people out there who have kept us going this far, this long. And my work is at a crucial point right now, folks. This is not the time that I need to not have what I need to do the work. And that's all I'm asking for here at the minimum. And lately we haven't even been getting that. So we need some people to step up and help us out immediately. We're in dire situation here, dire straits, and this is not going to keep going unless we start getting in the amount of money that we need every month to do this. And I mean, my God, folks, you have any idea how cheaply we already do things around here? You're talking about $5,000 for a film budget. Go ask Alex Jones how much he spends on one of his piece of shit movies. $300,000, $400,000. He talks about it all the time. $500,000. Yeah. And then look at what we spend and what we're asking for. We can't even get that. But yet people seem to be interested in my information. Oh, they sure as fuck are. Because they want to take all the stuff that I find and either claim it as their own or act like they're the ones who came up with it and pioneered it and everything else. So they don't want to have to pay for that. They just want to steal everything. Well, those days are coming to an end. I mean, I saw over the past week, I can't tell you, at least 20 or 30 different people pop in the chat room that I know for a fact, looking for shows, trying to see if there's live shows, but yet I know for a fact haven't donated a red cent. You haven't donated a red cent to get us back on the fucking air. Hadn't donated a red cent to get this Sam broadcaster we needed, but yet you're going to come in every day to my chat room and see if there's a show or not. And I just, you know what? I just assume you not even listen. If you can't pitch in a couple of bucks, but yet you can't wait to come in my chat room and see if there's another show or not, I mean, what does that say? It means you're a fucking cheapskate. And I'm tired of doing everything for free, and I'm tired of working for free. I'm tired of working my ass off. I'm tired of my whole life being for free. Not going to do it anymore. And then we'll probably have, we'll probably reach less people that way, but that's the way it is. I have to put a worth on what I do, because what I do is worthwhile, whether you want to believe it is or not. It is. And there are a lot of people out there who do believe that, and they do support us. So please help those people out. Let's finish up with our news tonight. We're done with all the wild craziness. After an unusually long quiet period, the sun unleashed a solar flare on May 17th this year, but scientists are puzzling over what happened on Earth. Neutron monitors all around the world lit up in response to the blast for the first time in 6 years, despite the fact that it was an M-class moderate flare. The answering pulse shouldn't have happened at all. Now scientists are trying to unravel what happened and why our planet pulsed in response. Dun, 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 dun. Uh-oh. I think this is probably going to bring about some answers they're not going to like. James Ryan, an astrophysicist at the UNH Space Station Space Science Center, said this solar flare was most unimpressive, and the associated CME was only slightly more energetic. And looking at it optically, it was remarkably dim. It was, all things considered, a 98-pound weakling of solar events. Scientists are now analyzing the data using a satellite which scans a range of bizarre particles invisible to other spacecraft. Launched in 2006 and dedicated to studying cosmic rays just 2 weeks before the most recent blast from the sun, Pamela was retasked to focus on solar physics due to the sun's ever-increasing activity. For decades, there has been strong debate as to what complex processes produce the extremely energetic particles that are registered on the ground. Is it the shock wave in front of a CME, a coronal mass ejection, or do the particles come from the solar flare itself? The most recent event will allow the study of the evolution of the flare from low to high energies without interruption. The Pamela satellite provides us with a bridge that has never existed before, says Ryan, a bridge between solar energetic particles measured by other spacecraft and those made on the ground by neutron monitors, like the one we've operated here in Durham for decades. Spanning that gap has opened new opportunities. They didn't really give us any information in there, did they? No speculation as to what caused that pulse or anything else. Since June last year, the strange shape at the bottom of the Baltic Sea has caused so much speculation. Sonar pictures showed a massive metallic cylinder with a 60-meter diameter and a 400-meter-long tail resting about 300 feet below the Baltic Sea, and no one found out what it is. It must be man-made or a sonar anomaly. The alternative, perhaps, is that it comes from a universe far, far away, as its startling likeness to the Millennium Falcon ship from the Star Wars saga implies. I remember covering this when it happened. Apparently, they're going to go down there with some divers and see for sure. I've said for some time that this had all the earmarks as being a possible situation where, this may be how they reveal the supposed existence of extraterrestrials. Deep-sea divers using remote-control cameras are now on their way to the site, ready to find out once and for all what is down there. And this article was posted on June 1st. I haven't heard any updates. If anybody hears any updates, please send them to my email, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Interested to see what they find out. They're going to go, oh, it's just a bunch of rocks. Don't worry about it. Whatever they find will be whisked away as soon as they find it. You can bet your fucking bottom dollar on that. Yeah. These priest-class cocksuckers will have a feed direct to the Vatican from the goddamn submarine. You think I'm lying? They probably funded the whole thing. So it doesn't really matter even what's down there. You're never going to hear about it. I mean, if it is, especially if it is something. And if they do come out and say, oh my God, we found a UFO, you should be suspect of that as well. Because, again, if it wasn't an operation, if it wasn't a psychological operation, it wasn't something they were doing or intended, they would never allow it to come out. So either way here, it's going to be an operation. Because, if they come out and say, oh my God, we found a UFO, well, okay. But no, they're going to get down there, and if it is indeed something, it's going to be whisked away, and then the next news story or update you're going to hear is going to be it was a pile of rocks, and it was a sonar anomaly, and, there wasn't anything to it. And then meanwhile, it'll disappear. In August 1976, a Soviet rocket landed on the moon, drilled 6 feet into the surface, extracted about half a pound of rock, and flew back. In the rocks that it brought back, water made up around 0.1%. It was the first time any spacecraft had found conclusive evidence of water on the moon. The American Apollo landings had brought back moon rocks, but the samples were thought to have been contaminated with water from Earth. In 1976, the evidence of water was an earth-shattering discovery, but it was almost entirely ignored in the West. The paper, published in the Soviet journal Geochemia, which had an English version, has never been cited by any Western scientist, despite the fact that in one small sample it found something that eluded the West's best efforts. Well, we can't say, oh my goodness gracious, you damn Russians beat us doing anything, can we? No, we got to keep that covered up. Let them dirty Russians think they're better than us. We're America. The Apollo missions brought back 300 kilos of moon rocks to Earth, which all of it turned out to be fake, by the way. You know that, right? All the ones, every single rock that was donated to museums by astronauts and by, various other people, all of them have come back and been determined. Because what happened was, they gave them, they were painted bullshit props, and they gave them to the astronauts. The astronauts gave them to some museums and donated them to places. And they would sit in glass cases for years and years and years. And then, over the past decade or so, people started pulling these things out and analyzing them because we've gotten new technology and new things to do deeper analysis with. And they found out that almost all of them were fakes, fake rocks. They are not moon rocks. Classic, standard, found on the earth rocks. And yet they wonder why people still have questions about, the moon projects. when you hear stuff like that. Every one of them, they've all been fake. And, that movie, Iron Sky, a lot of truth in that movie. Helium-3, that's a big thing they're looking for up there. They've been up there looking for helium-3 for quite some time. That's why they sent those gravity bomb things, the rod of God or whatever it is, where they drop it from orbit, and that was their dual project where they did that thing a couple of years ago, 2009, where we're going to blow up the moon. They're like, we're going to blow up the moon. We're going to find some water up there. That's what we're going to do. And India's over there going, hello, Mr. American, hello. He's already found the water. They already sent up there and found water. We don't care. We're America. We ain't found it up there yet, so it don't exist. I don't give a good goddamn if a goddamn Rusky or some goddamn engine with a goddamn dot in his head done found water up there. They ain't Americans. It didn't happen if Americans didn't do it first, goddamn it. It seems to be the mentality. Well, yeah. Well, it may be true that them damn Indians found it up there first, but America found it now, so it counts. But, it's all about control of these different elements that you can make alternative fuel sources from. And there's a race to control those different elements, helium-3 and iridium and all these different ones. There's a race to control those. Not so that most people think there's a race to control them because they think that, well, whoever has it will make the most money or whatever. But that's not why there's a race on to control it, folks. There's a race on to control it so they can create artificial bottlenecks and artificial scarcity, because that's where the money is. That's how they create these phony markets. It's everywhere. It's all pervasive. Limited edition, or collector's edition, or special edition. They do it on all things. But it put out this illusion that it's somehow, very rare or something. Was a mysterious ancient plague which killed all but 5,000 pre-humans the key to man's triumph over Neanderthals? Dun, 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 dun. This is sounding like some of the ancient Sumerian tech stuff here. The key factor which separated man from our evolutionary rivals 100,000 years ago may not have been language, but instead a mysterious plague. The plague ravaged populations of early humans in Africa until just 5,000 to 10,000 were left. But from that small population, humans emerged and triumphed over other evolutionary cousins such as Neanderthals. The bug attacked small infants and newborns, causing symptoms similar to sepsis or meningitis. Well, this sounds, wasn't there some stuff in there and some of those readings we did about the Anunnaki unleashing plagues and stuff like that? I know there's been several reports throughout history of guys in, black suits coming through towns right before the Black Plague and stuff broke out. I mean, it's very well, to me, it sounds like that's what this was. This was some sort of eradication program for one of their genetic breeding programs that went awry. And since we know that their laboratory for these experiments was located in Africa, which, of course, is where the whole out of Africa thing comes from. But we have a story here tonight that will challenge that. That's why there seems to be, this idea that somebody was, there was genetically inferior or whatever it was, but they wiped them out. It definitely sounds like this was a biological outbreak because it targeted, specifically infants and newborns, like they were trying to wipe out the species. Soon afterwards, Homo sapiens expanded dramatically in numbers. That was just a coincidence, too, wasn't it? The chosen preferred species that was genetically engineered the best. Shortly after that, expanded dramatically in numbers. It spread throughout the earth. The end. Yeah. A little bit more to the subject there. Strong will survive. Strong will survive. Humans, we're just the strongest. So, well, no. We had a little help. It's a fact we had a little help. The scientists don't deny it, that there are huge gaps, in the evolution of humans that just shouldn't be there. We got jump-started by something. So it's funny that right after there's this outbreak, that kills toddlers and infants, all of a sudden, in Africa, then the rise of modern-day Homo sapiens comes. Yeah, that's all just a coincidence. It's just God, the hand of God at work. Good Lord. We haven't had a Pastor Hagee appearance in a while, have we? Good Lord. Oh, it's Pastor Hagee. I know you've been missing me out there in Radio Lands, but I've been standing here on my red carpet preaching my sermon on the mound, baby. Because it is 2012, and soon the kingdom of the Middle East will be secured for the Jews. Yes, I'm here to tell you, Pastor Hagee is fired up about 2012, y'all. I say bring on the hellfire and damnation. I'm ready for it. It's been too long since Pastor Hagee has had a good party, and I mean a good down-home hellfire and damnation party. Woo! Well, I ain't going to hell. But I'm sure going to feel like hell after I drink a little bit of this Jesus juice. So you go on and have yourself a good night. Pastor Hagee is peacing out. Well, it's always a pleasure. There's a little cut-in frequency there at my show. Just, cuts in whenever he wants. Bastard. Pastor Hagee, everybody. Give it up for him. God bless him. Tell you what. He's taking care of those evils out there for us, isn't he? Well, he preaches from his fucking red carpet, which indicates he's a fucking bloodline, priest-class stooge. Didn't think we'd pick up on that one, huh, Hagee? Yeah, figured we all were sleeping, huh? Let me just give you a piece of advice. Never go to a retreat. If you're into yoga or meditation, I'm speaking from experience here. Just never go to these. They're cults, okay? I had a bad experience one time with one. Mysterious yoga retreat run by Princeton-educated monk ends in grisly death of love rival who married his second wife. I'm not even going to go into this. It's fucking nutty, but a man who was part of a mysterious yoga retreat likened to a cult. Same thing. I went to a meditation retreat one time, and it was a total fucking mind control cult. And I could feel it, man. And I supposed to be for like 2 weeks or something, and I stayed for like a week, and I was like, I'm out of here. I can't do this. This is fucking strange. It was just not right. They'd make you listen to these recordings that had like frequencies embedded into them and shit, and it was weird, dude. I did not like the way it made my brain feel at all. And they made me go in this room and talk to this creepy old Hindu woman sitting on this stage, and she was like, why do you want to leave? I'm like, I can't handle this, blah, blah. And she's like, you cannot leave. And they were like telling me that I couldn't leave. So I freaked out, and I got somebody to let me use a phone, and I used a phone and called everybody I knew and couldn't find anybody that could come help me out or anything. And finally I called my mom, and she got my stepdad to come out there with a friggin' arsenal. I got in the truck. I was like, God damn, son. He's like, man, I got the call from you. You said you were in trouble and they wouldn't let you leave. I didn't know what was going on, man. I didn't know if you were in a cult. I didn't know if I was going to come in there and blast your way out. I brought the arsenal. I'm like, all right, cool. Luckily, it didn't come to that, but yeah, a Princeton-educated monk. How many monks you know go to Princeton? I mean, I should have told you something right there. This is probably a Princeton-sponsored MK Ultra. You know, most of these cults are all traced back to, some sort of CIA or MK Ultra thing. I mean, Harvard-educated monk. Come on. Drug-resistant gonorrhea has spread across the world. Wrap it up, boys. Man, I don't put my dick in anything unless I get, some paperwork first. I'm not even playing. You just can't even risk it in this day and age, man. I mean, everybody you meet or even meet these days has got fucking some kind of disease, herpes, goddamn, dude, really? Whew, not me. I just assume do without and have to worry about fucking getting some kind of disease every time. Jesus. I want to see paperwork, man. I need to see fuck an ID. I need to see blood samples, DNA tests, full genome sequence. Good Lord. We need to run background checks on every other dude you fucked first. Wow. Drug-resistant strains of gonorrhea have spread to countries across the world, the United Nations. This is just like AIDS, just like any other stuff. Engineered, bioweapon. What more is there to say? Oh, here we go again with more of that. What was that movie? Who cares? Babies could be tested for 3,500 genetic faults. So now they'll be able to say, oh, we're sorry, your baby's going to be a retard. We need to go ahead and abort the baby. Oh, thank you. Save me from having a retard baby. Oh, you're still a retard. No, you're just not going to have a retard baby. Get that right. New primate fossil points to out of Asia theory. Dun, 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 dun. Uh-oh. This could throw a wrench. The ancestors of monkeys, apes, and humans may have originated in Asia, not Africa, as often thought new fossils suggest. The origin of anthropoids, the simians or higher primates, which include monkeys, apes, and humans, has been debated for decades among scientists, although fossils unearthed in Egypt have long suggested that Africa was the cradle for anthropoids. Other bones revealed in the last 15 years or so raise the possibility that Asia may be their birthplace. Now, an international team of scientists has unearthed a new fossil in Southeast Asia that may prove the anthropoids originated in what is now the East, shedding light on a pivotal step in primate and human evolution. The fossil is named Afrasia digidae, Afrasia from how early anthropoids are found intercontinentally in both Africa and Asia. Digidae, in memory of a young girl from a village of Moyang in central Myanmar, the nation where the remains were found. The 4 teeth of Afrasia were recovered after 6 years of sifting through tons of sediment, often working with ox carts, since even cars with 4-wheel drive cannot penetrate the area. The teeth of 37 million year old Afrasia, 37 million years. Now we're getting somewhere. The rock wall's in somewhere in the territory of 50 million years. Now they're starting to find evidence of, something that was 37. Now we're starting to get somewhere, see? You notice, I can't help but think this is not a coincidence. That these stories keep coming out more and more, all of a sudden, they know this rock wall stuff's getting ready to bust, and when people start hearing 55 to 80 million years old, they're going to start going, well, who the fuck was around 55 million to 80 million years ago? So slowly they're bringing out this information, I think, because they know this is going to be a fucking kick in the nuts. The anthropoids in Libya were far more diverse at that earlier time than in Africa than scientists had thought. It would suggest that they actually originated elsewhere. Those similarly... Oh, so they found this in Siberia in Libya. Oh, wow. Well, Libya was... Man, that's Anunnaki territory to the hilt right there, dude. That's real close to the original landing spot, I believe. So, yeah, that's a huge story. I'm going to drop that one in the chat room for you. Mexico's Mount Popocatépetl volcano has blasted a 10-hour ash over nearby towns and villages, prompting authorities to consider the possibility of evacuations. I've told you about this some time ago, and now it's happening again. And with the Venus transit yesterday, it makes me wonder, I mean, are we going to see it? Return of Quetzalcoatl. That still does blow me away. I mean, because, Quetzalcoatl relates to Venus and the Venus transit, and here's Mount Popocatépetl, which is this. Go look up Mount Popocatépetl if you haven't. They call it Mount Popo for short, but it's Mount Popocatepetl. Mount Popocatépetl. You can just put Mount Popo in a search engine, and it'll come up. And go look at all the pictures and video there are of UFOs flying into this thing, and then go read the stories, because right in the foothills of it is the temple of Quetzalcoatl, which you can also look up, which is very interesting. And the local legend handed down from generation to generation is that people witnessed Quetzalcoatl flying on a Virmana. If you don't know what a Virmana is, it's just Bhagavad Gita, an ancient Hindu flying machine. And he was seen flying on one of these machines into the center of the volcano. And many speculate there was a portal inside of it. And I think very well that's probably what it is, too, some kind of a Stargate. Because there's just been mass amounts of crazy, not UFOs that look like ships, but like weird balls of light and all kinds of crazy stuff around that volcano. It's one of the most biggest hot spots for UFO activity anywhere in the world. And I think that has to do with the fact that it's that this portal is in there. I told you guys about Behringer Hill, and there's no doubt now, I've done more research, it absolutely is the spot of the quarrying of the stones of the rock wall, and there's no question that, yes, just like they did in the TVA with the New Deal and coming in and building the dam in Alabama, they did the same thing at the exact same time there. They built Lake Buchanan and covered up what they had identified as one of the largest caches of rare earth metals ever found in the world. And there it sits below the waters of Lake Buchanan. And I told you last week that I'd found that out. Well, I found out some more interesting things. The biggest, most abundant mineral there at Behringer Hill, now under Lake Buchanan, happens to be zircon. And I found a picture where you could, an old picture before it was underwater, where you can see where big chunks were cut out of this big, just pile of rock. And I found out that the most abundant mineral there at Behringer Hill also happens to be none other than zircon. And when you look at rare earth metals and you look at what they're doing in this day and age, and we have a story here, China considers rare earth reserves to stabilize prices. They're running out. Prices are going up. You don't have defense weapons, electronics, renewable energy stuff, for solar panels. You don't have any of that if you don't have rare earths. And there are enough rare earth metals lying under the waters of Lake Buchanan in central Texas that if somebody was to start I'm about to make somebody a billionaire or a trillionaire. Hey, if I make you a trillionaire, you got to promise to kick me down a few million for giving you the info, okay? Deal? All right. Take care of me. Take care of me on the chipping banner, you know what I'm saying? If you had the money and you were to start your own rare earth metals exploratory company, where you would go and explore for locations that you think rare earth metals are, and you hit pay dirt, the windfall could be huge. Now, if you were to start an exploration company, you try to go after the Behringer Hill, well, it's underwater. You'd probably have to do something to get it drained, blah, blah. But my point is that there are enough rare earth metals at Behringer Hill under Lake Buchanan, literally, folks, where we could reset our economy in the United States overnight. Buy back all of our debt, all of our stuff from China, and cut them out of the rare earth metals and start charging them motherfuckers for our shit. We could turn all the economic problems of this country around overnight by draining Lake Buchanan excavating Behringer Hill and mining those rare earth metals there. But nobody's doing that. If I know about it, the powers that be know about it. The New Deal, they paid and built the lake there to build a dam so they could have electricity out there in the rural areas. So why hasn't anybody done it? That's because they knew, even in that time, 1937, when it was, that eventually, because the technology and electricity and stuff was starting to get better then, people were eventually going to have the ability to start asking questions. Wait a minute, who was mining here way back in antiquity? This stuff was quarried out of here thousands of years ago. Who did it? So there's no question in my mind. They are absolutely covering up the quarrying, because that's where the evidence leads. That's where the evidence that the rock wall is a man-made or an unnatural creation. Maybe it wasn't made by man. Maybe it was made by somebody else. Who knows? But the evidence that proves it is a unnatural creation lies under the waters of Lake Buchanan in central Texas. And Westinghouse and Edison, after they got their nuts all in it, sold it off, and then boom, they built the lake and flooded it under, and there you go. But there's enough minerals there, folks. If somebody could just drain that area of the lake to excavate that, not only could we get data and information on the quarrying that went on there, but you could get enough rare earth metals, you could knock China out of contention. And so yet again, we have more proof that, they're not only do they want to keep these things covered up, they don't have an interest in fixing anything. Left, right, it doesn't matter. They have no interest in fixing anything, because all the problems that we face in this country could be fixed with things that are right here in front of us, but they won't allow them to come out because they know it will ruin their whole fucking plan. In the late 8th century, Earth was hit by a mystery blast of cosmic rays, according to a Japanese study that found a relic of the powerful event in cedar trees. Analysis of 2 ancient trees found a surge in carbon-14, a carbon isotope that derives from cosmic radiation, which occurred just in AD 774 and AD 775, the team report in the journal Nature on Sunday. Earth is being battered by protons and other subatomic particles, which are blasted across space by high-energy sources. The particles collide with the stratosphere and react with nitrogen to create carbon-14, which is then absorbed into the biosphere. A team led by Fushi Miyake of Nagoya University found the levels of carbon-14 in the 2 cedars were about 1.2% higher in 774 and 775 compared to other years. This may not sound like much, but in relation to background concentrations of carbon-14, the difference is huge. And obviously, this has come about before. We were hit with a big blast of radiation and solar particles from somewhere, and it wasn't our sun. What it was, who knows? It's very interesting that some of this stuff is talked about in that film, The Cygnus Mystery. If you haven't seen that, you can look for it on YouTube. Talk about the Earth getting blasted with particles. Last time we aligned with Cygnus, it very well could have something to do with that. Supposedly these particles have something to do with jump-starting our evolution and activating our DNA and other things. Transit of Venus. Global audience for NASA's live feed of the rare event got cut off because of a glitch in a school's IT room. Wah, wah. Right. I don't buy that for a second. If anybody can find any of the footage before this turned off, I'd be interested to see it. You know what happened? This has happened before. NASA has a history of doing this. Don't forget what NASA means. Never a straight answer. Well, they have a history of doing this, cutting feeds and things like that. I mean, there's been all kinds of stuff that's gone across NASA. That's why they killed the NASA channel. Do you guys remember the NASA channel? They used to have a channel on cable or satellite or whatever you had back in the, 80s, 90s. It was a NASA channel. It was like all the time feed. And people started recording that and they would show satellite feeds and stuff. There was UFOs on there. People started taping that stuff. And boy, they shut that down. So I think something popped up with their extra, high-powered cameras, and they saw it and they cut the feed. That's what I think happened. Conveniently, right at the money shot, Well, we're going to leave it there for tonight. We'll get into more news for you here tomorrow night on the show. It's good to be back with you all. Thanks to everybody who got us back on the air and broadcasting, but we're not out of the woods yet. We still need some support to get this film done. We need some support ASAP on that, and we only have about $20 here, period. So any help we can get as soon as possible, right now, today, tomorrow, but immediately, would be great for this. And please help those that are helping us. And thanks to everybody out there who has gotten us this far. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. And we'll see you next time. You guys have yourselves a great night. Take care.